ladder predictions.
Oh, yes.
Should we go through our end of season predictions? How do we see the ladder shaping up? Maybe we don't need to go through the entire ladder, but maybe if we
10?
if we can go through
Top
our top.
9?
Yeah, I mean, we can call it a 10 because you can nominate who missed out. And maybe we can go through who won the spoon. But how should we kick this off?
Should we go top 4, like each go through our own top 4s and then go from there? I've got Geelong in first. I think they've got a pretty decent run home. Brisbane,
Geelong in first.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Is it? Well, okay. I think they've got a pretty easy run home. Brisbane in second, Pies in third, and the Crows in fourth.
I will give mine before passing to Dylan. I have the Brisbane Lions finishing on top with Geelong in second, Collingwood down in third, and Adelaide. Bearing in mind, I did mine through the Squiggle Ladder Predictor, so I went through the fixture and did it, and that is what it produced. Collingwood third,
so
Adelaide fourth.
The only thing I'm saying here, though, is like how many losses are you predicting Collingwood to have? Because they've played 2 games less than Brisbane and Geelong, and they're already a game clear and percentage.
I had them losing 3 more games, but I just cannot remember who they were. But I think I tipped the Brisbane Lions to beat them at the G.
Okay.
I tipped Freo to beat them at the
Oh, yeah, there you go.
For fuck's sake.
So maybe we had the same losses there.
What? Waiting for it to happen, mate. I see crazy things.
I'm just looking,
haven't.
I'm going, okay, they're a full game clear of Geelong and percentage, and they've got 2 in hand. So that means Geelong and Brisbane will pretty much have to clean sweep it.
What's your top 4?
Definitely Collingwood 1. They don't leave the MCG for the rest of
True.
the season, really.
I feel like they'll just have a form slump. Not crazy, but they will have a dip at some point.
I suppose. But
They can't carry this form all the way through.
I feel like just as easily, like the Lions, it's not as if the Lions and the Cats are playing such good home and away footy that they're just going to shit it in. I feel like Geelong going to rest players at some point if top 4 is wrapped up as well.
So a couple of banana skin games for the Pies. West Coast at Marvel. No, they've got to play Gold Coast at Metricon or whatever it's called now, where historically teams don't go super well there. I'm not saying they'll
I think
lose
they lost
it.
it last year.
Maybe that's
No,
what I'm
they won late.
They
They
have,
did too. They did too.
they have another game against Hawthorn, who I don't think are their best selves, but historically Hawthorn, or at least in recent time, play well against them. Then there is a game at Adelaide Oval against the Crows, if I'm reading that correctly. So those are 3 nominations. They've
If
also
you don't
got.
think Freo is not a banana peel, it absolutely is.
Well, I went
the
for
MCG.
the ones that are real first. And they've also got Collingwood versus Brisbane towards the end of the season.
My
I mean,
Freo
if you're going to
blood is
include
boiling.
if you include the Fremantle one, you got to include them all.
That's at the MCG.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
that
not
is
saying they
not a
can't.
banana skin
I can't.
at all.
We beat Sydney. This isn't a Freo video, but we beat Sydney
Isn't
last
it?
year, who were undefeated at the SCG. When Melbourne were like 11-0, we beat them at the MCG. Like, that's not that.
What's your form this season
but if you-
in Melbourne?
We were 2 goals off Collingwood 4 weeks ago.
If we include that
It's
as
not unforeseeable.
Druzy,
No, but-
they took half a side to Perth and they still beat you.
We'll see. Time will tell.
But
What's your...
if you're going to list the 4 games that Collingwood would lose, you don't tack on Fremantle. Because if you tack on Fremantle, then you got to tack on the other ones as well.
They may as well lose them all then.
They could win, but it's just not my prediction.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever.
So I'm going Collingwood first,
She's not happy.
Brisbane second. Are we doing the full top 4?
Yeah, you go top 4.
Yep. Brisbane second. I'm going the Cats third. I'm
Yeah.
going to stay with the Crows. And I haven't looked at the run home or anything like that.
So we've all got pretty similar top 4s. Jesse and I have just swapped. Who did you have top?
I had Brisbane on top. I
Yeah.
have them beating Collingwood at the G later in the season. Obviously,
Yeah.
like such a wild prediction this far out, but I feel like what we've seen from Brisbane recently, very recently, beating the Cats in Geelong, I just feel like they're going to be this team that lifts for those big games, and I think Collingwood will be vulnerable.
So our 1 and 2 are flipped. Dylan has Collingwood finishing on top with the Cats in second, was it?
I know
Or the Lions.
the Lions,
Okay.
then the Cats, then the Crows.
But yeah,
so do we all have the same top 4?
Yeah, same-
Just different
same
order.
team.
Yeah,
different mix.
that's it. So yeah, I guess Adelaide is the only one that was probably not locked in, but you know what I mean. Like Adelaide's the one that,
We all had them 4th.
Yeah.
I suppose the home ground advantage, the fact that they recently claimed a scalp of a good team in the Brisbane Lions. Yeah, there's some level of trust developing there with Adelaide. I
Yeah.
feel.
All right, from 5 to 8, I've got the Bulldogs in 5th. Freo in 6th. Gold Coast in 7th. And the Hawks at 8.
Okay. I have gone the Bulldogs in 5th. I think there must be some relatively easy fixture here for the Bulldogs. I do rate them, but I've got them 16 and 7, which is kind of absurd. They probably won't get there. But I'll stick with it, 5th. Hawthorn in 6th. with a ledger of 15 and 8. I've gone the Giants in 7th, even though I'm not really stoked with where they're at the moment on current form, save for their most recent result. And I've got Fremantle sliding in with Gold Coast missing out.
Wow. See, I feel like Gold Coast are more of a lock, not a lock, but more of a lock than the Giants based on the footy that they've played this year. But I do agree the Giants could really ramp it up in the second half of the year, but I haven't seen it enough consistently in 2025.
Tomorrow's game, we're filming this before Gold Coast and GWS play. That will be an 8-point game in that sense, and I think the Giants will win.
Very true. Over to you, Dylan.
Do we know the timeline on Will Day? That massively affects where I have Hawthorn. But basically,
I think he's going to be pre-finals, like right on the cusp.
So he won't help their ladder position.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'm going to go Gold Coast in 5. I'm going to go the Giants in 6.
In 5, wow.
Yep. I'm going to go Hawthorn in 7. The Dogs in 8.
Wow, that's quite
Dockers
different.
in 9.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not happy about it.
I had Fremantle making it but losing to Collingwood. You put them in 6. What a surprise. 16 and 7. Is that how many games have they lost at the moment?
Yeah, I probably tipped them pretty biased.
Oh, no.
We're 9 and 5.
Yeah, okay, so you predict them to go. How many games are left?
I
Two
think
losses
I'd
from
tip
here.
us to lose against
West Coast.
No, the Lions. I might even be at Optus. I think I tipped
Yeah,
the
I think
Lions
that's
and the
Optus.
Dogs on the last.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a reasonably decent fixture, I think, for you.
So who does that?
It gets pretty tough. Like we got the
Okay.
Saints, but then we've got the Pies, Hawthorn, Dogs, Brisbane.
Oh, yeah.
We got Port away, which is always a bit of a banana peel, but Sydney did it.
I think I've tipped Fremantle to beat Port, but lose to Hawthorn.
Okay.
Personally.
Interesting. I haven't even done that, so
Yeah,
I'm sort
yeah.
of just like throwing darts at a dartboard here. So who have we all got missing? I've got Freo missing. You've got
I've got the Gold Coast Suns missing.
I've got GWS missing.
Fair.
And then Port Adelaide in 10th. You know what? I think I did this before Carlton lost today, so they were in 11th, but that could be... I also didn't tip Sydney to beat Port Adelaide, which just happened, so maybe Sydney gets into 10th
we
or
all
11th.
tipped Port to win this.
Sydney
didn't
getting into 10th would be kind of rogue.
we? Yeah.
I would just like the point of this was top 8 and who sort of just misses.
Who's
but
going to win the spoon, though? Like, should we debate this?
I've got 9th I have GWS and then Port in 10th, D's in 11th, Saints 12th, Blues 13th, Sydney, Essendon, North, Richmond, and West Coast.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I don't think there's too much doubt about West Coast winning the spoon. Will they win another game?
How's your... But just before you do that, what's
Yeah.
your run through after 9?
Okay, sorry. Port Adelaide in 10th, Carlton 11th, Sydney in 12th. Again, I did this before these results, so maybe mix those around. And then I have St Kilda, then Essendon, Melbourne in the bottom 4 before North, Richmond, and then West Coast.
Right. So I'm in 10th. I'm going to go Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
11th, Port Adelaide. 12th, Carlton. 13th, Melbourne. 14th, St Kilda. 15th, Essendon. Just realised I've left North out of that. I'm just going to have to drop them in here. 16th, North Melbourne.
Yeah.
17th, Richmond. 18th, West Coast.
Yeah,
There you
right.
go.
So, yeah, West Coast win another game. Lads, give me something. Just give it to me.
Absolutely.
We've got Richmond at Optus is probably
You'll beat them.
the only one that you'd say we're a good chance in.
I think the teams that you guys would be preying on would be Essendon, if you get them.
I don't think we do.
Saints.
Don't think we do.
Yeah, you're not too
No,
high.
that's true. We got Sydney in the final round of the season. I mean, that never goes well for us. I think we might even have 2 games. Oh, no, we have one more game against Adelaide at Optus. So we got Collingwood, we got the Bulldogs. It doesn't get much easier
The
for
problem
us.
is for a team like West Coast when you're in that position too, the teams like Sydney and Port that haven't had much of a crack this year, they're like, we'll take you down.
Yeah.
Like we want that.
Yeah.
We're penciling that in as a win.
Yeah. And we've got Port away. I mean, that's not the craziest upset if it did happen, but you wouldn't
Freo
predict
versus
it.
Collingwood is. Give me a break.
No, I didn't say that was the craziest upset, but I'm just saying I didn't predict it. And then I also thought it was less likely than the other 4 upsets.
Did anyone have North Melbourne out of the bottom 4?
No, I just couldn't justify it based on logic.
I would say that I think that's fair. So what are we at? We're on 18 points,
Yeah.
which is still 2 games behind like an Essendon.
Yeah. But you're only 2 points behind Melbourne or St Kilda. I think North would need to start taking some more scalps. I did this before they beat Carlton today, to be fair.
You play the D's at the G at some point, don't you?
I was about to say, I
Yes.
feel relatively confident when we come up against any of Essendon, St Kilda, Melbourne, Richmond, West Coast, and then I'd throw Sydney, Port Adelaide into that sort of next group of we could get them.
I
It's
don't
less
know.
likely.
You can't get Sydney. No way.
I don't think
We can't get Sydney.
No. They pumped you at Marvel.
So did Carlton, and we just smacked them up today.
Yeah, well, you're not going to
8
go to
points.
the SCG and beat Sydney, are you?
That's true.
No, we're not.
Nah,
But,
that would be a big boil over. But you do play Melbourne. You do also play Richmond and Tassie, I
Hang
reckon.
on. We just were very close to travelling to Perth to beat you guys.
No.
We dominated elements of that game, and now you're saying that there's no way we would beat beat
Sydney
Sydney.
away. Yeah, I don't think you would. It's funny how we've all taken pot shots at each other's goals. We're all friends. That's funny. But yeah, get your ladder predictions in the comments. We kind of just went through it all. That's
Should we go through the awards?
mid-season ladder prediction?
I reckon we go through the awards. The Brownlow medalist,
Ooh, that's hot.
Rising Star. Shit, I
okay.
don't even know about the Rising Star, to be honest.
I feel like they're just going to give it to Levi Ashcroft.
will.
It's probably, he's probably like the only major
For
contender.
me, I would say Ashcroft is the favourite, but I think Harvey Langford and Murphy Reid have had a bigger impact on the clubs that they're at.
I would still throw Lawler. I reckon like ultimately he's missed too many games.
Yeah.
Through injury, but I feel like when he's been in the team, he has been the best player.
I'm going to go with Murphy Reid.
That's strange.
I think
it'll be-
Levi
it'll
plays
be
a harder role than Murphy, which will count against him. Like, Levi spends more time playing a difficult role.
There was
I
stats
think
I
goes into
saw
it,
the
yeah.
other day. Just take your predictions, also I'll bring these up. Who
What
do
do
you think do?
I would for me, I would have like from games played. So I'm sort of taking out the fact that Lawler's missed football, but I think he's been the most impactful in the forward half of the ground. I think then I'd have Murphy Reid.
So here's the stats. Murphy Reid's ranks amongst first and second year players. Number one for this first and second year. Number one for scoreboard impact. Number one for score assists. Number one for goals. Number two for score involvements, and rated the number 3 player in first and second year players.
Is that total or is that average?
What do you mean?
Is that are those rankings for his total numbers or his
I
average?
think total.
Yeah, okay. Because I reckon per game, Lawler would still be above.
Well, I don't know. Those stats don't lie. I don't think like Levi Ashcroft is head and shoulders above. Obviously, I'm biased as I always am. But
Yeah. I feel like Levi slotting in has been a little bit more easy for him slotting into a really good team.
yeah, and he does look like an A grader already. Levi.
He's just a good player, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he was again like that draft crop last year. He's probably the most bankable. Like always finds the footy so easily.
Brownlow.
Brown. So who do we go? You went Reid. You went Levi.
I went Levi.
I went Levi too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in we're predicting.
Predicting,
right?
yeah,
Levi.
absolutely. Brownlow.
I'd probably go Bailey Smith, Jordan Dawson would be my 2.
I like that. Dacos has got to be a chance.
Yeah.
Even regardless of what he's done to this point, like
Just vote getter.
from this point on, I'd have also bet on him being the best vote getter.
Yeah.
And he's a proven vote getter. Jordan Dawson and Bailey Smith are great shouts. I think Bailey Smith could win it. I'll say Dacos though.
I actually do think it's going to be Bailey Smith.
Yeah.
I reckon you're spot on with Dawson and
Bazza.
Smith
I like that
as the
shout.
front runners. Like I just think they've had like Bailey Smith's impact on that team too. I feel like that's going to be even more noticeable.
He's the star of that team. Like
Yeah.
head and shoulders as good as guys like Max Holmes are.
Yeah.
I think Bailey Smith walk up all Australian and
I actually
Max
really
Holmes as
like
well.
it if he does get it as well. I feel like it'll be a bit of a move away from that really inside player.
Yeah, that first possession clearance winner. Yeah. I
So
would agree with that.
That's probably still a test as
Yeah.
far as like whether he will poll.
It's probably true of Dacos too.
So I feel like it's generally speaking, it's a clearance award, but it's also a big name award. So like that leans
Yeah.
into it as well, and that'll help Bailey Smith
Yeah.
because he's got that star element, and I think that's what helped Dacos a lot when
Yeah.
he was at half back too. He polled really well.
I think it's out of those two, with Dawson also polling enough votes to get close at this
Yeah.
stage. We're probably forgetting people. Is anyone in the comments?
There'd be.
letting us know?
I reckon Brisbane fans would be shouting McCluggage.
Yeah. I can't imagine McCluggage win a Brownlow.
People are talking about Strong being up there, but I feel like there's been so many games where like Dog has been better or Brayshaw's
Yeah.
been better. So
Yeah.
I don't think Sarong will win it, but he could come
He'll poll.
close.
He's the type of player that polls well.
Yeah,
He'd poll
exactly.
better than Brayshaw traditionally, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Like historically, yes, but I think Brayshaw's had a better year than Sarong.
Yeah,
this
I'd
year.
agree.
Yeah.
Coleman, I'd probably bank Hogan to be honest.
Really? I'm pretty sure Cameron's 12 goals in front of the next. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Never
way-
mind.
Yeah.
No, 10. He's 10 in front.
10.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
never mind.
Yeah, I don't
Jeremy
think
Cameron.
that one's the least sexy tip.
Well, he had a bit of a
Story
slow
of my love
start to
life.
the year. Jeremy Cameron. All right, and then Premier. Grand final.
Yeah, go grand final and then winner. And Norm?
I think it's going to be... I can't really be asked with Norm because I don't know who's going to be in there, but I think it'll be a
You're also
2020,
predicting that.
2023 grand final replay. I think it'll be Collingwood,
right.
Brisbane, or
Oh,
Geelong.
yeah, gotcha. I was thinking Sydney then for a second. I'm like,
You're joking.
I am Brisbane to win the flag.
Against
Against
Geelong.
Collingwood.
Brisbane against Collingwood. I will say Brisbane defeat Geelong in the grand final.
Yeah. It's those three, isn't it?
Yeah. Did Neil win the Norm Smith last year?
No, Will Ashcroft.
Will
did.
Ashcroft. Oh, that's of course he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just such a safe tip to go Lockie Neal BOG in a winning Lions performance. I looked for me, it's not even about who's been the best team this year. I think Collingwood has been the best team this year, but I just think Brisbane will be too good in September.
Who do you think has been the best out of those three teams this year? Whose ceiling has been higher out of Brisbane, Collingwood, and the Cats?
Collingwood.
Collingwood's been the best.
I think
Collingwood's
so too.
clearly been the best team.
But you think
Yeah.
Brisbane have more room to elevate and that more
Yeah.
upside in the back half of the year?
the thing
I
that
do think
scares me
that.
with Collingwood is they just have so many players that execute under pressure and make good decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's scary. They just don't make any mistakes
Yeah.
across like the length of the quarter where other teams are so easy to get momentum against. And that's why Brisbane like hit these teams so heavily because they make mistakes and Collingwood just don't. It's like, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Dacos, all of these guys, like they're just, I don't know.
All big game players.
For the record, I do probably think it's the most likely outcome that Collingwood win the premiership, but my prediction is always going to be a little bit tinged with showmanship.
Yeah.
No, I'll throw it in there, but Collingwood, I don't have an argument against them winning the flag. I suppose maybe almost they haven't lost enough at this point of the season. Like,
Well, that's a sitting duck analogy,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
suppose, is kind of there. If there was one, we all went Collingwood, Brisbane.
no, I went Geelong, Brisbane.
Oh, you went Geelong.
I
Brisbane.
went
Yeah.
Collingwood, Brisbane.
Yeah.
Collingwood,
If there was a team from that, like we all kind of, I think, see those three teams as being the front runners. If there was a team from outside that group, who do you think it would be?
the Dogs. I
Dogs.
reckon. Yeah.
I think Adelaide could work themselves into position to just about be in there on grand final day, but I don't see them winning a flag, which I realise is not that big a step, really. But
Yeah.
well, in some ways it is. But for me, I'm actually more confident that Adelaide will qualify for the top four than the Bulldogs, and therefore by default are more likely. Which I realise if I applied that logic against the Bulldogs in the last two grand finals, I would have been wrong.
It's a tricky one. I don't disagree with anything you've both said there. Like I reckon any team coming up against the Dogs in the finals would be like shit.
Oh yeah. But then again, the Bulldogs were also beaten last year in elimination final. But I agree, like what they're capable of, what the team we've seen them be a bunch of times, is scintillating.
I suppose I'd go Adelaide there. Safe choice.
Yeah, I just think they're going to bank enough wins to be in the four, and then maybe spring in an upset qualifying final win.
I feel like there always is a side that pushes a bit deeper. Like I don't feel like, even though Brisbane were premiers last year, like they had no right to win that game against GWS, and they ended up getting through. And like even against Geelong late, they were down and they get through, and then just I didn't think that Brisbane. Thought they were better in 2023 than they were the year. That they
I
won the
reckon
flag.
a lot of pundits throughout the season at some point would have ruled Brisbane out.
Yeah,
Last year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah,
It was the most unconventional way to win a premiership.
But there was like discussion of like disharmony in the group, the sort of Vegas trip or something like that.
Yeah,
Sam
I remember
McClure
that.
popping off. Yeah, like it got that bad. I actually don't know if I've seen a team like rally and regroup as quickly as Brisbane did to win a flag in that season. That's actually pretty unheard of.
On grand final day too, who did you guys tip? Because I tipped Sydney.
I actually cannot remember. I think I tipped Brisbane. No, I tipped Brisbane. Yeah.
I was saying
You're
this-
like, yeah, that sounds
Yeah, that
right.
sounded right. No, I was confusing it. The previous year, I also tipped Brisbane to beat Collingwood. I got that wrong. I definitely tipped Brisbane to beat Sydney. I'm 80% sure.